Welcome back to RGR. We're going to try to make this work today because there's a lot to talk about, and it's a topic I haven't wanted to get into. Welcome back to RGR Craft. If you're not subbed, click the like, the sub, and the bell notification so you can hear Mike give me static about what I've done wrong in my life. This is going to be fun. How are you?
I'm doing good, Ryan. How are you?
This is your brainchild. And folks, I blame Mike for everything that happens and comes out on this video because I am not comfortable.
I don't know. It's not my fault, right? I think this is a good subject, right? We kind of touched on this subject last time we talked, or maybe not last time we talked, but one of our recent shows where we're talking about the tips for new brewers, right? Everybody encounters problems on their brew day and with their beers and stuff, and we've got stories, so why not talk about them?
Because they're embarrassing because I feel dumb. So, okay, you want to go chronological? You want to do like worst first?
Well, let's tell everybody what we're talking about specifically, right? So we're talking today about just brew day disasters. Maybe not even brew day disasters. Homebrew mishaps.
I like that
and
better.
Maybe anything in between, right? So I think we all have our disasters. We all have our mishaps, but at the end of the day, your beer is probably going to be fine. Relax, don't worry, have a home brew, whatever. We've been there. We've got stories. So yeah, I don't care if we go chronologically or, well, you know what? Let me start, Ryan. Okay. I'll tell you about my honey beer. Remember, I've been touting this honey beer for a long time.
Yeah, and I'm ready.
So I was really excited about getting, I was going to do some comparison between bottling and kegging, right? And this is a honey beer, so I wanted to use honey as my priming sugar. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was really excited about this. So the other day I got everything together, bought a new bottling bucket because I haven't bottled in forever, for good reason, because bottling sucks. Yeah. But anyway, got all my stuff together, cleaned, got a little 2.5 gallon keg so I could keg half of that 5 gallon batch and then bottle the rest. And so I got these 750 milliliter thick walled Belgian bottles.
Right.
And
or cap?
These are cap, standard size caps.
Okay.
And got everything primed in the bottling bucket, kegged the first half and filled the bottles. And then I went to cap. I couldn't. It turns out this capper only works on standard size bottles. Yes. Right. Okay. You know what? I learned something this week. And it was that this capper doesn't work on these bottles. But I was in a predicament, Ryan, because I had 12 750 milliliter bottles filled with this beer.
Right.
And I had no way to cap it. So, in the end, I ended up pouring all of that back into the bottling bucket very carefully, not to splash or introduce any oxygen. I am sure that I introduced a bunch of oxygen in there. Okay. It's inevitable when you're pouring out of the bottle back into the bottling bucket. Anyway, luckily I had a clean keg on hand, got it sanitized, ended up, kegging the last, the 2.5 gallons into a 5 gallon keg. So you know what? The beer's not lost. It's going to be fine. My test is ruined. And, I'm slightly more knowledgeable about brewing equipment now, cappers specifically. But my test will have to wait. The beer's fine, but the test will have to wait.
Well, two things though, because you learned a valuable lesson, but now you know what capper to go get, because I know you want to use those Belgian bottles, but also we can still get some good test results out of it, because now you can know what that type of exposure, a pour and a pour back. Now we'll have an idea. I look forward to doing the side-by-sides to taste them, to see what that exposure to oxygen, however limited it was, what that does. And we can kind of go from there in terms of graduating what we know and when I should be panicked is what I'm looking for.
Right.
Man, that was a really nice and knowledgeable one. I like that. I'm going to start out low end too then, because this is one from college, back before what I call my renaissance, thanks to you. This was 1994? No, I'm not that old. Dang. This was 1997. 97. It was, one of my roommates worked at Free State Brewing out in Lawrence, Kansas. Great brewery, still is to this day. If you guys get a chance to check it out, check out Free State. But he was like there, he was shoveling out grain beds and, he was low guy on the total bowl and learning. And so we were kind of doing this together. He went on to actually become a professional brewer. So more power to him, but this one didn't go very well. We did this porter out of a kit that we then added roasted jalapeno to. And we were both kind of home cooks, foodie type guys, and so we were pretty relatively versed in what a jalapeno should do. Not only after you roast it, but after you seed it. We didn't even use the seeds.
Right. I can already tell where this is going.
It was great. It fermented awesome. This is back in the days. This was paint buckets left in a dark room with a blanket around them. I mean, this is the level that we were at that time. And so all we did is the day before we bottled, we threw in the jalapenos and let them sit for 24 hours on it. I literally burnt my taste buds.
Uh-oh.
We primed them and everything. They bottle conditioned for a month. We did this in this was the first football game weekend of the season. So this is early September. We waited till October. So it was a little bit colder. It was good time for, a brown beer, and it just lit me up that I couldn't taste or smell for probably a week. It was so terrible. We used 8 jalapenos in a 5-gallon batch.
Dude, yeah, nothing will wreck your palate faster than drinking some jalapenos.
Right. Yeah. Straight into the veins, you might as well. It was terrible.
Right.
And more power to you, Ted. He went on to become a very good brewer, and I'm just some schmo that tells a story about when I tried to kill myself.
Well, lesson learned.
Yeah.
8 jalapenos is probably too much.
No, an eighth of one is probably plenty.
Right.
The volume. There's a great beer out of Poncha Springs Brewing, where they do hatch beers. They get green chilies from New Mexico, and the volume that they use in a 7-barrel system, I think, is about what I put in a 5-gallon batch.
Yeah. Yep. That's harsh.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Well, you and I had another similar experience. Remember our experiment, Sriracha Ace?
Oh, Lord.
So yeah, that was a fun one, right? We were trying to just really blow out the Sriracha Ace, get some lemon and pepper out of that, which is what the Sriracha Ace is really known for. And we used too much.
Yeah, you think?
Oh my God.
We used it everywhere. We didn't use it as a flavor. We didn't use it as a top end. We used it way too early in the brew itself. Oh my Lord.
Yeah, that was pretty nasty. And it's funny. The beer itself was exactly what we made it. It wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't soured or,
right.
It didn't get a bug. It was just a horrible recipe.
Yeah, the dill came out of the Sriracha just boiled it too long. It should be, and I'm relatively okay trying it again, and I think I will, but I don't think I'll use Sriracha Ace before the 20-minute mark, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, that one needs some restraint, and it is not a very good bittering hop, at least not in our experience.
No.
Yeah, that was I've dumped 2 batches of beer that I can remember.
Yeah.
And that was the second one. And that was a worthy dump. Man, it's heartbreaking watching all that beer go down the drain though.
I'm stubborn. I drank a gallon of that before I quit.
Yeah. Yeah. I might have gotten through half gallon, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Hoping it would get better with age or something, but no, that never happened.
We probably need to redo that, because the concept of it, an amber that ended with that lemon and pepper over the top, was, I think, a good concept. We just have to either go with another hop or do it better.
Yeah. Learn that hop profile a little bit better.
Maybe what we do is we each do a small batch and we blend them, so that if I totally screw the pooch again, you're still safe.
Yeah, we could dial it in a little bit better that way, I think. That would be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, and this one is actually fairly recent, within the last year. And it was after I got the Spike Conical, and I know a lot of you are checking out this channel because of the Spike. And the series is continuing. I've got a couple of things for you that we need to get edited together, and then I'll have them up for you. But one of the things that I loved about what we're going to talk about in next week's show, the fermenters, is the Conicals, where you can actually collect yeast, because I wanted to wash and keep yeast, and I do that. So one of the things that we used then when we were on Catalyst, when I was using the Catalyst for everything, was a collection jar that was based off of a wide mouth ball jar. So thanks to Jaybird out at NorCal Brewing in California. Got the stainless steel attachment, so I could use the same mason jar, the wide mouth, on my triclover fermenter. And that was great, except for the fact I neglected to remember that a sight glass is good up to 15 PSI. Threads on a mason jar are not. So,
no.
It was completely done. It had been sampled. The final gravity was there. I was at 1004 on this nice light session IPA. Not session. I hate session, but it was under 7%. So that's what I consider session, folks. But for me, all the way through the process, it tasted the way I wanted it to taste, and a recipe that I'll rebrew, to tell you the truth. The Kvike ran through it perfectly. It was all good. All I did is seal off my adjustable PRV to try to get it to like 5 PSI so that I could then just push it into the keg with no oxygen exposure. Well, that yeast was still going. That Kvike is strong yeast, and it ended up going up to about 8. And at 8, those threads didn't hold, and I lost 4 of the 5 gallons out onto the floor out of my fermentation chamber.
Yeah. Oh, that's awful.
I will tell you this, 24 hours, even at a light carbonation, I drank the rest of that. I drank it raw, and it had a little bit of carbonation. So I tasted it, and it will be something I brew again. But
So that is an actual brewing disaster. Losing the beer doesn't get any worse than that, right? Well, I guess it could get worse. You could get injured. There are definitely ways to get injured.
We'll talk about that next.
Yeah, for sure. I think I know that story. I think I know where you're going with that one. But yeah, that's an actual real disaster. But luckily it was in your garage and you could clean that up.
Yeah.
If that happened in my fermentation room, back here in this little used bathroom behind me, that's a different kind of mess.
Right.
Inside the house. Yeah.
And in that room, you don't have the drain that you had in the previous room, right?
No, there's nothing there except a sink. So no, right. That's a rough one.
Yeah.
So yeah, speaking of losing beers, I just thought of another one. I do have another. This is an actual brewing disaster.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow. I'm surprised I had forgotten about this. This is a pretty significant one, but, my wife, likes Kolsch. So, I had a bunch of room I had a bunch of room in my keezer because I didn't have anything on tap. So I could actually, ferment at a lower temperature. So I made a Kolsch for her and, got that all kegged. It takes a little bit longer to make a Kolsch, of course, because it ferments at such a low temperature. And she tried it. I tried it. It was fantastic. It was really good beer. It was one of the better beers I had made that year, I think. And so what happened was, buddy of ours comes over. I shouldn't even have mentioned his name. He's going to feel horrible about this
I might
story,
have to cut that.
But this was at the time before I had taps in my keezer. I was just using those Cobra taps, right? The picnic taps. And poured himself a beer, closed the lid onto that picnic tap.
Oh.
So the next time I went in to pour my beer, there was nothing
Smelled
there.
Great.
There was basically 4.75 gallons of it inside my keezer.
Oh.
Yeah, and to rub salt in the wound, since that tap was open, of course, all the gas ran out too. The CO2 tank was dry.
Yep.
So yeah, that was a whole batch of beer completely gone. I think I was actually traveling at the time for work, and she was actually the one that discovered that. So she got the pleasure of cleaning up the 5 gallons of beer that I made up for her. So.
Coming up on next week's show, how to keep the wife happy so you can keep your hobby.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Okay.
That was upsetting.
I will try to cut the names and protect the not so innocent, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
yeah, right. Oh, I don't know. I would say I can't top that, but that I can. And that's because my personal exploration through brewing started back in the 90s and then took a very, very long hiatus, folks. The band got together, had kids, the whole 9 yards. And so it was 2017 hanging out with Mike that got the bug again. And so he brought up his gear to my place, which is not a short haul, and is willing to help me try to do this so that I can learn to do it at altitude. My altitude is significant, so it's a little bit different than everybody else's standard brew day. And I thought it went really well. I was really happy. Got everything pre-ground and all that. So we didn't have the little details, but we just went through the brew process. And I thought, honestly, it went pretty well until I had to clean something of your year. And folks, next week, we're going to talk and tie into this about fermentation chamber types, vessel types, not chambers. And so you had a glass carboy, standard, or was it a wide mouth? I can't remember.
I think it was standard. Actually, It didn't matter in the end.
No, it really didn't.
No.
And so it was great. It was in pretty good shape, already pre-cleaned, but you want to sanitize and get it ready to receive the new goodness that we had just made. And I went to shake it out and dump out the star sand just to leave the foam. And that stuff is slippery. I'm just going to tell you. And poof, all over my yard is a significant thickness of glass shards of a carboy that used to be. And that's not the worst part of it, right? So we have this beer, the lid's on, it's cooling, cold break settling out, and so we're good there. But we had no vessel to put it in because I'm not geared up at the time. This is my first brew day back, and Mike is pleasant enough to help me. So I made a run to my homebrew store.
This is over a holiday too, right?
This was a holiday weekend, and my homebrew store is 20 minutes from me, and it is the only one within 60 miles. They were closed. So I get there, and I am furiously trying to buy anything that I can. I'm going to the hardware store just to get a bucket with a lid. They're closed too. This is literally, I think it was it was Labor Day.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's late.
Yep.
And so what I find is I circle back from the hardware store to the homebrew shop as I'm leaving there in the same complex. And there's somebody else out there that needed a part. And he's like, do you know if they're going to be open today? I said, no, I think they're closed because I'm searching too. And he's like, well, what do you need? And so we just got to talking. And a neighbor who ended up not living very far from me had a couple of spare carboys, gave them to me at a deeply exaggerated price.
You got ripped off, man.
I did.
But you know what? You were desperate, and he knew it.
He absolutely
knew it. Yep.
And buyer beware. That's what you get. So
right.
I purchased that from another citizen, brought it home. We got it washed up, and we got that first go at a Cascadian Dark done. The beer actually turned out great.
Yeah, I think I remember that beer. I do remember liking that a lot.
Yeah, I was really happy with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember, we were wondering where the heck is Ryan? Because you were just gone forever. Right. And then I think we finally got some text from you and you kind of explained what's going on. And we were worried that you were going to get murdered by this random dude that's offering you some homebrew equipment. Right, come on over to our place. Everything will be fine.
It's not 7 miles out in the woods. It's all right.
Yeah, right.
It was definitely an adventure, and it was worth it though. I thought the beer went really well. We got it cleaned up, and honestly, at that point, the beer had probably sat out for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was pretty close to that. It had been a while. Yep.
Covered with a lid, but still significant settling, which actually helped it clear up really nicely. Yep. The only problem was what I purchased was another standard carboy. And we had a dry hop of whole cones to do.
That's true. Stuffing those hops through that little tiny neck is hard.
It is. It's worse getting them out, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part. In fact, that's what we're going to talk about coming up on next week's show, folks. We're going to go through the fermentation vessel types and what some of the drawbacks are that will certainly highlight this particular one. Do you have any more disasters we need to cover this week?
No, I think that's enough, man. That's enough. We've resurrected some memories that I was hoping that would never come back, but
yes,
that's all right. But you know what? It's okay. Today, neither of us have gotten hurt brewing. Very few batches down the drain compared to how many successful batches we've had, and that's just the way it goes, right? You make mistakes, you learn, you move on.
Nobody got hurt, not even a dog. So, hey, that's the way that it works. And we hope you guys enjoyed this because reliving my pain is always fun for Mike. it might as well be fun for you guys. So if you haven't yet, make sure you hit the like and the sub and the bell notification. We do this every week. We'll have some discussions. We'll have some brew day shoots. We'll have equipment reviews, and we always do beer reviews. We try to keep them nice and short. So check out our 3-minute review series that goes very quickly and hopefully gives you some insight about some beers that you can find near you. Mike, thanks for doing this, and I will pay you back.
I know you will.
That's it for us this week. Thanks for watching RGR Craft. We'll check you next time.
Cheers.